Hi everybody, welcome to TA Innovation Hive. I am super excited today to be joined by Hedy and Becky Foden. Today we're going to be talking about employee referral programs and innovation in this space, a space which can be super helpful in terms of talent pipelining and attraction. So Hedy, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to see you again. Do you want to just give yourself a quick intro for our listeners today?
Yeah, sure. My name's Hedy Wardeny. I'm the head of growth over at Reallinks. Reallinks is an employee referral and employer brand advocacy platform.
Fantastic. Great to see you again, Hedy and Becky.
Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Foden and I'm currently an early careers global program leader for a company called Synopsys, which actually make chips for our smartphones. So it's really cool to be on that project, working on behalf of Join Talent. And prior to that, I was at EY leading the student recruitment for UK and I.
Great to have you both. So, Hedy, coming to you first. The space of employer referrals and ambassadorship and advocacy, I think, is a space where we're seeing a lot of innovation and companies really embracing this as part of their means of attracting talent across all sectors. It'd be great to get your perspective as to how you're helping organisations and what you see innovation in this space to be like at the minute.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So there's a few things. So I'd say most companies we speak to have a referral program of sorts in place. A lot of their employees aren't even aware of the program, right? So these things exist, but they're not really front of mind. But we're seeing more and more businesses, particularly the ones who are trying to innovate, to get their employees to participate in referral programs and obviously get wider reach to their networks. And most companies who have ATS platforms have some form of referral module. It seems to be the case, though, overwhelmingly, that those referral modules don't really do enough to one, to get employee engagement high, two, to get the quality there, they're the kind of key things that we see ourselves kind of helping and supporting companies with. In terms of innovation in the space, I think whether it's startups or scale ups or enterprise, a lot of companies are trying to reduce their tech stack in TA as much as they can, particularly enterprise, of course. And so there's a slight aversion to having another tool to add to your tech stack for your TA team to use or your employees to have access to. So what we're seeing is kind of the key point is with referrals is that rather than asking employees to go to a different platform, there's a big kind of drive to have meet employees where they are. And what I mean by that is if your employees' preferred comms channels, for example, are Slack or Teams or email or mobile, or they're mobile and they don't have access to a laptop, meeting them where they are, asking them about who they can refer in their network, giving them kind of updates and kind of nudges about latest jobs and what you're hiring for, meeting where they are is a really effective way to get employees engaged. Coupled with that, most companies have what we call a passive referral kind of program, which is they've got a referral program. They might shout about it once a week on an email or once a month, or there's an intranet somewhere that they can make referrals on, and they kind of sporadically get these referrals on as and when. They don't really know where they're going to get referrals from, if they even need referrals. Are they low skilled or single skilled roles they're getting referrals for? What we try to be is far more strategic. So when TA has a hiring drive in a certain sector of the business, say for example tech, they go, great, we've got a hiring drive here in this part of the business. Let's run a campaign on LinkedIn to all of our tech employees in that location or department via Teams or Slack saying, hey Rob, we're hiring for X. Do you know any software engineers in this space who could be relevant? And we're meeting them where they are on Teams, and it's very quick and easy for them to make referrals. We're seeing far more targeted engagement, useful to get referrals where we want them, right? There's no point getting referrals, in parts of the organization where you don't actually need the support. It's really the niche, hard to fill roles that we're kind of helping businesses to get support with.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, I think in my experience, just awareness of the scheme itself, it's that constant drumbeat of the the scheme and building confidence in it. I know a couple of the clients that I've supported with had reputational issues really with people that felt they were perhaps working to get the referrals, but then they weren't really seeing anything happen with the referrals. So communication, I know, is something which is a key pillar of success in this area. Beck, what's your take on it? What are your thoughts on the cool innovation that you're seeing around the space of employee referrals and advocacy?
So just, I guess, to make the business case, referrals, I think, are really important in any business as a separate and alternative sourcing channel. So we know that, there's a 46% retention rate from referred candidates, and also they contribute much more to company profit. So there is stronger cultural alignment. There are some, though, that believe that referrals does lead to a similar type of talent pool. So perhaps, there's a risk of hiring mini me's, or the danger of increasing candidates that perhaps have similar backgrounds or share similar cultural backgrounds. And so I think that with referrals, it's important that we do take on board that feedback, and we really, as Hedy has said, is to really target any referral program, particularly around the ED&I space. And I think that's where there's a real opportunity to use advocacy or referral programs and technology to ensure that we're really bringing in that diversity that businesses so need. So that's one point. And the second point is I'm really interested in how we innovate in this space, and in particular around employee advocacy programs. So, for example, in a former role, I was the head of student recruitment at EY, and to be completely honest, we were being charged quite a lot of money and budget being spent towards brand ambassadors, particularly on campus. So that the budget could be anything between £80,000 to £200,000, believe it or not, depending upon how many brand ambassadors, particularly if you're hiring high volume and you have a large geographical spread that you're trying to hire into. So I was really interested in how you can really adapt this traditional referral type approach and technology, and utilize this as a different use case to think about how do we actually build advocacy and brand ambassadors as a separate use case. Particularly if you think about, at EY we had about 500 summer internships out across over 100 campuses in the UK. And so was there an opportunity for us to use an advocacy program and get our summer interns effectively to really become brand ambassadors, and how do we actually gamify the experience for them, across different university challenge, but also reward them in terms of some of the feedback that we're seeing for Generation Z right now is that they want to work for organisations, have that sense of purpose and that are driving sustainability initiatives. So we actually used the Real Links platform in this instance, whereby we gamified the whole outreach strategy with brand ambassadors on campus, and we also so I'm really interested in how we expand this technology and use it more towards brand ambassadorial type activities, particularly for volume hiring.
Yeah, I think you got froze a little bit there, Beck, but we got the gist of it, I think. And it's interesting. One of the questions that I got for both of you, based on my own experience, we had a lot of success at one of the healthcare clients that I work with here in the UK, specifically with employer referrals when it came to our campus recruitment as well, by incentivizing alumni from certain universities and dental schools, as it happened to be, to go back in and advocate for us in a structured way. And Beck, I agree with you. I think one of the great opportunity areas is how can you do this to improve equity and diversity and really ensure that you are diversifying your talent pool. Hedy, from your perspective, do you see any trends towards referral schemes performing well for certain demographics, like Gen Z in Becky's example, or if an organisation is perhaps trying to do the opposite and focus on experience hire? Are there any tips or trends around engagement for different demographics in the talent pool that you see?
Yeah, good question. So talking on the topic of early careers and stuff, one thing that we think is important is if you want to source early careers candidates and from the marketplace, the best source of employees to go to is typically your graduates or your interns who are ambassadors at campus level, because their networks are likely reflective of the kind of talent you're trying to attract, and that lends itself nicely to ERGs as well. So we see some organizations running kind of campaigns with employee resource groups internally to drive more diverse applications. We saw a really good case study with Great Western Railway. They were trying to attract more female applicants into their organization, and they ran a campaign with their kind of women in engineering ERG group there, and subsequently got a substantial amount of more female applications into their process than they typically did. I think their numbers are quite low beforehand. So off the back of that, they subsequently expanded Real Links out across the organization. But to Becky's point, it comes up, and every so often some businesses have reservations about referrals, not just from a kind of nepotism perspective, but also what's it going to do to our diversity metrics. I haven't seen any data to date from any company to suggest that referral hires are any less diverse than direct sourcing or job boards or any other source of hire. I think there's an overwhelming leap to suggest that like just because we're lacking in diversity in the organization, our employees don't have diverse networks. Not necessarily true. I'd love to see some data on it, but as I said, to combat that, we're seeing businesses say, right, let's run it with our ERGs across the organizations because they've got wider external networks and they're often part of different networks externally. So if we say we're trying to attract more females into leadership positions here, and we go to our kind of women in leadership ERG, it's a great place to start because again, their networks can be quite wider and far-reaching than our standard kind of sourcing methods.
Great. No, I love that with the ERGs. Becky, any final thoughts from you on the topic?
So I'd agree with Hedy very much on his points, and I would emphasize the need for organizations to ensure that they have a really strong targeted strategy and segment specific audiences. So for example, when I was at EY, we were very keen to focus on non-Russell Group universities. And so those universities, such as Portsmouth, for example, Southampton, have really strong and diverse students. So how can you gamify that experience using a technology like RealLinks to effectively equip some of our interns back on campus to really start to refer those diverse candidates? And what we saw was that there was great appetite to do that. They increased loyalty of the summer interns. We know that summer interns now tend to have about 5 internships throughout their university career. So this was a real opportunity for us to differentiate the experience of an internship once they're back out on campus of purpose around planting trees or even giving them a HelloFresh box. So we actually sent them food packages. We know that there was a cost of living crisis at this point as well. But not only that, it also was a win-win situation because they were also referring diverse students back to us. So it's a complete no-brainer. And I think that if you really do that segmentation, whether that's internal through your ERGs or even using talents that are already employed by you, in an external environment such as campus brand ambassadors, then it's a really great opportunity. And it's much more cost effective as well. So for example, the 80 to 200,000 pounds budget that we used to spend on this, we were spending less than 10,000 pounds. So it's a complete no-brainer in terms of cost per hire, business case, budget.
The journey that an employee takes with referrals is very similar to advocacy in the sense that asking employees to make referrals into the organization or asking them to share content with their network, the journey really is quite similar. So we're seeing more and more companies want to kind of have 2-in-1, which they can do with RealLinks. So you can encourage employees to kind of share content to their network, which of course is a brilliant way to either drive career site visits or if you're trying to be a bit smarter with your segmentation, as Becky suggested, kind of drive more kind of diverse applications by the kind of content you're sharing or the employees you're using to share that.
Great. I really, really appreciate both of your perspectives. So anybody that's interested in finding out more, please head over to www.tainnovationhive.com. Sign up via our homepage to become a member and you can download our free toolkit, which will help you learn more about how to implement these schemes in your organization. And of course, we'd recommend a conversation with Hedy at RealLinks as well. It's some great technology. I've seen, some fantastic examples of how that can really help transform referral programs. So thank you both for joining us and we hope you enjoyed listening to today's podcast.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Bye.